Is this the development stages or like the weekly Tuesday is to follow the development for the
Yeah,
program?
it's basically a development, what we're doing, what successes we're having, where we're getting ready to go in, where we're talking, what we're doing. I share some of the material that I'm working on. And then on Thursday we had conversations about it. I wish we would have recorded our Thursday one because we had some good conversation. And then
Oh shit, Thursday. I didn't do that one again.
yeah,
Maybe we'll have to do those personal text messages.
yeah, and then we were, I covered some of the stuff about like the Beast, and so it was pretty. I'll say it was profound. I don't, yeah, but it seemed to have an effect on those who heard it. So it was great, and everything's a work in progress. So I know Rana wants us every time she's like, "Are you teaching it? Are you going to teach it to us? Are you going to teach it to us?" And I'm like, I want to, but I got to get. So what I've figured out now is for this to work, I have to not only write a book to lay it down, and then we can do workbooks and, courses and stuff off of that. I actually have to write 7 books or a book with 7 parts because we have to cover our heroic archetypes, we have to cover the beast, then we have to cover the journey into the dark wood and the descent, and then what happens when you're in the inferno, and then the ascent out of the inferno through purgatory to paradise, the reunification with the inner child. Um, Getting the raid code will be a book in itself, and then the return to the dark wood, which is what everybody who starts there and finds their Virgil and their guide that takes them through, you return as a guide for somebody every time. And the cycle repeats over and over again. So this is why I'm like, okay, I'm gonna create this, and I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff done, but I'm picking and choosing what goes in there, what's gonna be the best, what's gonna have the best effect. And what makes the most sense to me, and the way that I've been wanting to present this, is really that it is an epic journey. It's a mythic quest. So we're starting from that angle. And once you find out the type of hero you are, you get to go through this entire quest to save yourself, your own inner child, to become the hero that you were meant to be. Right? This is literally a quest of remembering, finding out, not even finding out, just remembering who you are, who you were born to be, before all the trauma and everything that came in, which made you forget those things where you decided you weren't good enough, or, you know, you couldn't possibly be the hero of your story. Everybody faces doubts, everybody faces obstacles, but once you start on this path, there's no stopping you. And that's really what it is. It's remembering that you have a destiny. There is a quest in front of you. Everybody goes through hard times. Everybody deals with trauma. Everybody has doubts about themselves. This is the heroic narrative throughout history. Every hero thought that they weren't a hero, or they weren't good enough, or they couldn't do it. And they said, you know what? I'm going to go and do it regardless. In the stories, I was just going over the Epic of Gilgamesh, and he's being told, you can't go face this beast. Like, everyone will die there. And he said, well, I'm going to go do it anyhow. And if I die doing it, at least my name will be remembered and I will honor my fathers. That's a paraphrase, but this is what we're doing. We're choosing the hardest path because remembering is the hardest thing to do. It's hard to remember that you were born in greatness, but you got off of that path. You find yourself in confusion. This is that dark wood. You find yourself in shame. You are ashamed that you didn't continue that path. You're ashamed that you didn't become who you were supposed to be. You're ashamed of all the things you did in the meantime. But shame is just another one of those obstacles that are there to be overcome. It exists to be overcome. It's something that is trying to keep you from being that hero, trying to keep you from remembering who you are and achieving your destiny. When we get into the descent, we get into the inferno, we start looking at the effects of trauma in these circles of hell. You see yourself there. Your inner child has been drawn to all these things because trauma, because of what they've been taught, and the hero is always challenged to sit back and do nothing and to succumb to the baseness of the human nature. We find safety in that. We find acceptance in that. We just go along with the flow. And all these other traumatized people are stuck right there in those circles of hell. And the whole way there, your child's being drawn in. Oh, it's fun to drink. It's fun to party. It's fun to do this. But all those people who are drowning their own they're drowning their own misery with these, and they pull everybody in with them. So it looks fun. It looks good. We think this is what we do to get along, but we're all clawing at each other, pulling each other down. So the hero has to choose to take the hard path, to take the straight path, to see what's happening and still choose to do the right thing. Everybody else is doing it, but that's not my path. That's not who I'm supposed to be. This is the hardest journey, but it's the journey that each of us is gifted with when we're born. It's a quest. We're born with a quest. We're born with a destiny. But you can never achieve your destiny without struggle, without obstacles, without those standing in your way. Some think that they're doing what's best for you. Some are intentionally there to deceive you. But that is all part of the journey. It's part of the quest. It has to exist. Everybody should feel that. I see Rana. Rana feels it. She feels that there's a quest, there's a journey.
You're talking some mystical truths, Michael. This is what life is for.
Yeah.
We're all being called to go home.
But we have to go with greatness. We all have to choose to face that beast. You know, Theseus faced Medusa, Perseus faced the Kraken, all these things that came, we all had to choose. They all had to choose to face a monster that nobody could defeat, but they were called to defeat that monster. Odysseus was called to face every monster in the Mediterranean. And some of the hardest ones was those times he was seduced by Circe. When it became easy and they loved you and they were giving you everything for free, and you had to choose to walk away from that to continue the quest. Aeneas had to leave Dido to go and found what would become Rome. It's the hardest thing that he did. It destroyed her life. It destroyed Carthage. But he had a destiny that he had to follow. We have to choose the hard thing, because that is what the hero does. That's the only way to reach your greatness. I see some comments popping up. So,
Yeah, I was just gonna bring them to the conversation. This is, I was feeling a little bit slumpy before this morning. Just I've had a headache and just like my energy's low, but it's just like being back here and talking about this and listening to, it's like the music's playing in my background. Like it's like in my head, like the music from the video Rana sent me. I'm like, doo-doo-doo. Like it is an epic quest, and it's pretty freaking amazing. And like I feel exhilarated and excited to go on it. And yes, like the foundation is reminding people they're the hero of their own story. But I do, I think this is what you're building, Michael. He disappears and comes out with a book every time I see him. So, but I think because Tara made a comment about the book being like the manual and the information and workbooks being separate. I think that's what we're doing, is it not?
yeah, I had initially started with book that had journaling, reflection prompts, and stuff like that. But I want to write the book as a journey, as a quest, and then there'll be workbooks that go along with it, because I don't want to take away from the epic structure of it. It is like you have to follow this quest, you have to follow the journey as you're reading it. If you break it up with reflections, that it takes away from what it's doing, but you can also still have a workbook. You can still have classes. You can still have that. And there will be workbooks and books outside of this too, as we're working on our substance abuse course. That is a challenge of the beast that is separate from the beast itself, right? There's something else where you really have to focus, because you're going to have people who deal with one beast more than others. We have ones that every time they go back, even the transformed hero has to go back and face the beast again every single time. So that beast is always at danger of, a danger of dragging you back into the cycles and the circles of hell, getting you stuck there. So this is why it's important for the transformed hero to become the guide, to go there and to face the beast over and over again to help somebody else. And as they continue to do this, it'll get easier, but that beast doesn't go away. That beast is there forever. When you look at so many of the ancient stories, you look at Sumer, Babylon, they had Tiamat, the serpent, who was defeated but is merely sleeping. And then you look in Scandinavia, you have the world serpent, which is the same thing, who's defeated but only sleeping. You know, you look at symbols from ancient times, like the Ouroboros, with the serpent who's eating its tail because it's continuously going. You know, and you look at some of the more um, mythical versions of this, and it's surrounding the world. Sometimes it's twisted into the symbol for eternity, which is an eight, right? So it's continuously happening. But that serpent is merely sleeping because it's waiting for the hero to drop its guard. It's waiting for the world to forget that it exists. Our goal is to make sure that the heroes don't drop their guard. They don't become complacent. They don't give up and think that they've won. Okay, you can raise your hand like that, Tara.
I think
That-
it's in the reaction part
Yeah, it is.
for future reference. But
I
just
tried it. I couldn't get to it. I don't know. I was like,
Just do the
yeah, I was going to do that. So because a lot of people keep looking at the format, and I think, Michael, I'm just having a vision of your book in parts. So part one could be the mythology behind it. You know what I'm saying? Part two could be, how does this apply?
Right.
Three is the steps and the tools. Four is like just reference, you know what I mean? Different references that you have. So I'm just making this up. Then comes the workbooks, which is doing the work. So this book is like your guide, it's your manual, it serves all the purposes, it has all the different aspects to it, but it's one big book. And
Yeah.
then the workbooks are, for whatever journeys they're going to go on, whether, however it's, whether it's forms of mental health or however you're going to, maybe it's going to be a bunch of different things that, you know what I mean, that not defined in one category. But anyways, that was kind of like what I was expressing, that I see it. So it includes all of it in the one book. And so that people understand like how to use it.
Well, that was the initial plan.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking at by the time, so each of these books in their infancy is 50 to 100 typed pages each. So when I refine this and it gets to where it is, where it needs to be, this may be 1,000-page book. So nobody's gonna take 1,000-page book and say, I'm gonna, so we have to offer it in chunks. And it's
But
important to,
what if it's a synopsis? What if it's, you don't
well,
do
the
the whole thing?
synopsis is a different thing. So,
Yeah.
but there will be a synopsis. There will be, a primer. There will be all of that stuff eventually. Right now, I'm just putting together the journey because you have to understand the journey for this to apply, for this to really sink in. And,
Right. That's what I'm
all
saying. That's a part of the book. Like, so the first one is about all the you know what I mean? The heroes, the reference points, how it came to be. It's like historical.
Right. So, I mean, and that is in there. When we go through the archetypes, each archetype has the story of their mirror, but the bulk of it is three books because it's mirroring Dante's Divine Comedy. The Inferno, Purgatorio, Paradiso. So, like all of those will be there, and it may, we'll see the form that it takes. I don't, it may have some stuff in there at the end of the book to go through and work on. I'm going to see how it develops. But
Okay.
yeah, but thank you for the feedback. I get what you're saying. So we'll see how it works when it starts.
and I just want to add, like, I think it's all possible, and like we're still explaining the whole journey. And I don't like I don't think you've joined us necessarily, but I know you've watched recordings. So wait till we share more. And I know like Michael shared a little bit on Thursday because like I think it's all of that. I think it's everything that both of you are saying. Um,
Right.
and like because it's really cool to parallel Dante and tell that story and the stories of the heroes and the myths and then parallel that into the trauma self-discovery journey, reconnecting with your inner child and then branch out from there with the workbooks, with the manuals, with everything. So I
Yeah.
mean, he's got a stack of, it's ridiculous how much paper he's written.
At the beginning, I'm just getting through the journey. Once I get that there, then we'll decide where to go with it from there. Um, but I could, if you would like. Hi, Eartha. I saw her pop
We
on.
now know her phone number.
Hi guys.
There she is.
So I on Thursday's meeting, I shared a little bit from the stuff I had written on the beast. If you would like, I could share the introduction that I wrote for the Heroic Archetype book. Is that a yes? All right. So forgive me because I'm going to read it. I don't have it memorized. So the introduction, the reflecting pool. There comes a moment, quiet, still, undeniable, when something ancient stirs beneath the surface, not out in the world, in you. You feel it before you understand it. A weight, a signal, the return of something that never left. You've moved through life armored for whatever came. You did what was needed. You adapted. You endured. You shaped yourself to meet the moment, even when it cost you something essential. But now something deeper is calling. Not a memory, not a fantasy, a truth. Because beneath all the versions of yourself you've adopted lives the one you were always meant to become. And it is time to remember, you were not broken. You were not late. You were standing at the beginning of the quest. This is the path that will test your strength, forge your resolve, and call forth the one you were always meant to become. You will not walk this path as who you pretended to be. You will walk it as the one you were always meant to become. So stand still. Look again into the pool. What rises now is not an image of the past, it is the beginning of the path forward. The quest has already begun. And then from there, before we move on to the archetypes, we have before the path is chosen. The water has settled. The vision lingers, but you are not the same. You've seen something real, a flash of what is beneath the armor, a trace of the origin you were never meant to forget. Now comes the next step. Before you can take the path ahead, you must come to know what kind of hero you are. Not all heroes carry the same strength. Some lead, some shield, some challenge, some rebuild. Each carries a burden. Each was shaped for a reason. What follows is not a personality list. It is a return to memory, a recognition of who you are beneath the armor you've worn. You may find echoes in many, but one will strike with force. Not because it flatters you, because it fits. It will feel like something you've known all along, like a name spoken before you were ready to hear it. That this is not a role to play. It is the beginning of who you were destined to become. So read closely, because the road ahead doesn't begin in the world. It begins with remembering the truth you carry and choosing to live like it matters. And then we go into the archetypes, which are now more personalized, more epic and like you know. So like there's a lot. I can continue, but that's the direction I'm heading. I really want people to understand that this is a quest where they're the hero. Thoughts, questions, comments?
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you writing this yourself?
Yes.
Nice. Very nice.
I can't wait to visualize it. So, and like put it out there in its final form.
Yeah. I like that part about the ancient.
Mm.
We are ancient.
Yeah, I mean, all the knowledge comes from the ancients.
Yeah. And it runs in our blood, that vibration, that frequency. Yeah. The rivers of Jordan. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so that's what I'm working on. Uh, like I said, we go into the archetypes there, and then we provide mirrors for them, so you can see ancient heroes that you may identify with. You'll find uh, the the essence, the shade, the wounded shades, and then find which one resonates the most with you, and then we'll work with the beast and with the transform essence. So that is the beginning of the journey, and then we'll go through and we'll map out everything else.
And I think it'll become more clear as we put it out there. Like we haven't updated our website or, really put out the hard, this is exactly what it is. But it's the journey and that's it. It's the journey. So,
And it's creating itself too. This is you're transmitting ancient knowledge, true, mystical teachings.
Yeah, and it keeps, it's evolving as I'm writing it. You've been here, you've seen a couple different versions of how it's been evolving and where we're going, and um, you know, every day I work on it. That's one of the curses of it is I'm working on. I'm like, no, no, I got to change this. No, I got to change this. I got to change this. So
Yeah, follow that flow. It's things take time to come into this world. They can only come in small pieces, and then eventually they build on themselves and they will change.
yeah.
You started out with cells and now look at you. You know,
But I mean, this is what we're all meant to do. I mean, my personal life mirrors going through this journey, the hardships, going through the inferno, going through hell, changing who I was, who I had become, and finding who I was meant to be. This is, it's a journey that I is dear to me, and I want others to understand because it's personal, it's deeply personal. I went through it, and we didn't always have the language for it.
you came into this life to do this.
Well, I would definitely like to believe so. Um,
You
but
did.
this is this is the purpose that I found. And for me, it's the only thing that makes sense that all of us find who we are, who we were meant to be, and then help others, you know. But it's like when you read the Iliad, right? It wasn't one hero. It was hundreds of heroes doing their own story. They were a hero in their own right, but they had banded together for a cause. And then the Trojans on the other side did the same thing.
We're all gods and goddesses. We just forgot.
Exactly. We just have to remember, you know, every hero has the opportunity to become a demigod in the stories, right? And that's really up to you. How far do you take it? How far do you embrace who you are, who you were meant to be? But we have this ability, and people forget, especially those, and this brings us back to why we started this. Those who are sitting in prison forgot themselves. That's how they ended up there. And we recognize trauma. We recognize the things that happen that shape you, that wound you, which turn you into a shade of the hero you're supposed to be. And they need to understand this because they're the only ones who can choose to come back and be the hero of their story. They're the ones who have given up on themselves, who have the rest of the world telling them that they can't recover from what they've done. And yet they can.
Yeah, the whole system is set up. This is the beast.
And the system exists for a reason. The way that it runs today is, due to the trauma. We're stuck in a hell realm. They create laws based on the trauma that they've suffered. The people who are traumatized end up doing things which traumatize others, which put them in there, and we're in this big spiral, just heading down deeper and deeper into the inferno. But what we realize when we get to the bottom of the inferno, before our turning point, before we climb up and burn all that waste and dirt and everything away, is that it begins with us. The descent begin with us. We betrayed our inner child. We chose something that took us away from that path. Now, we might have chose it as a survival mechanism. We might have chose it because that's what we were taught. But nothing happens without our agency. We make a choice. And we have to be able to give ourselves permission to change our minds about decisions we made as children. Everybody in prison can do that. I did it. I'm out here with dozens of guys who were serving life without parole, and they're doing the work too. And they appreciate life. They don't take it for granted. They understand that 5 years ago, they were never supposed to be out of prison. And look at them shine now. Morgan, I saw you came off mute. Did you have something?
I forgot what I was going to say. It was probably along the lines of I just want to choose my goddess name. I'm the hero and I want to choose my character. I know what character I am. When we went over the archetypes a little bit last week, and as we share more, you'll see. But it was just really cool to see myself in all those pieces, and we got into a good discussion on Thursday. And I'm the seeker and the caregiver and all the things. I was actually just responding to Joy in the chat, and Tara also had a question for you, Michael. But I guess I'll respond in words now instead of typing it. So Joy says, for me, such action is similar to pigeonholing other persons into a particular expectation on account of their gender, socioeconomic status, religion, ethnicity, etc. And I was just going to comment, Joy, that we this world puts people in boxes and then judges people based on what they know about that said box or label. And it's another degree of separation instead of taking those barriers down and seeing the humans underneath. So I agree. It's a complete it goes against who we are as humans. There are no labels, there's no separation, right? But the moment people do that, you've made an other instead of seeing yourself reflected in a divine human being. And I may still comment more in the chat, but Tara was asking, how do you pitch this to prisons?
Same way that I've been pitching it to you guys. Just tell them about the journey. Last time I spoke to a CRM, she was like, I don't care whether you bring this into this prison or not. I want to be a part of it. Right? So it's just a matter of reminding them who they are and giving them the ability to let others find that too. If they truly care about rehabilitation, this is something that is going to work, that's going to appeal to them. because anybody who's ever worked in prison or with that population knows that it's not programs which change people. It's people who choose to change. You can have all the programs or none of the programs, but if somebody's not willing to change, they're not going to. If they don't reach the point where they want to change, it's not going to happen. You can have 0 programs and somebody can make the decision to change their life, and it's going to be different. They will change. I didn't change because some program came in. I see you, Tara. I didn't change because a program came in. I didn't change because I went to AA or NA. I changed because I decided that I didn't want to be the person that I had become. And I realized that who I had become, although there were good elements of what I did, I believed in loyalty and honor and pride and all these good things, but they were, as I've used this analogy with the hourglass before, they were on the other side of the turning point, so they weren't being used for the good of myself or the good of the world. It was being used in a deceptive way, which it harmed people and helped people who didn't have my best interest at heart. Once I climbed down the legs of the beast and the world flipped, then I was able to find real love and real honor, real pride and joy in helping others rather than promoting myself. Right? People don't understand. There's a lot of people who talk about the hero and, want to paint themselves as the hero, but they forget that the hero puts others in front of themselves and before themselves every single time. So sorry about that, Tara. Go ahead. What was your?
I guess for me, I like I get what's in your head to a degree overall. I mean, not every nook and cranny, but I understand how you think and that you're in the creative process right now. It's like writing a book, kind of like what you're going through. I think my question maybe should be reframed as like, what is your elevator pitch when you walk into the prisons? Like, what's the quick 3 minutes? I'm going to say this about this program to that they're interested in. What's the short version of it? I know once they bite on the short version, then if it's their personal interest, they want to go on the long, end of it. But what do you say initially as your approach? I'm just curious.
So, I mean, I always have material that's specifically aimed towards prison administrators about rehabilitation and safety of the community and the change inside the prison environment. But I'm teaching about by teaching people that they're the hero of their own story. I'm also introducing a code, the RAID code, which is responsibility, accountability, integrity, discipline, and dedication. So I'm teaching them to take responsibility and accountability for their past life and for their future life, and to live in the future in a way which is, integrity, discipline, and dedication. So once they realize that the way that they had developed was because of trauma, um, they want to work their way through that, and then they also take accountability because in the circles of hell they see those that they've traumatized as well. Some of the people that I'm working with or the prison officials specifically say, we need trauma informed programming. So I'm going to lead it into that as soon as possible. But the idea that we're coming is that they're the heroes of their own story. It's them who's responsible for their own rehabilitation, and what we do helps the goals of rehabilitation and community safety. Hey, Jason,
Hi, Michael.
how you doing?
Doing super. You?
Oh, I'm good.
Good.
All right. Yes, Megan.
I was typing this and then I was like, you know what, I'll just come off mute. I feel like this was really cool, like exercise in seeing like the different ways this could be messaged. If it's a someone who just you want your foot in the door or like a donor, that's kind of like, okay, but what's that, like I'm interested, like what's the whole thing? And then you have the longer piece too for when they want more in depth and when the meetings get extended.
Thank you. What do you think, Megan? So she's involved in everything. So she pretended like that, but
Yeah, just so for everyone that knows, I have a background in like fundraising, business development kind of stuff. So my brain's always like thinking about the like what's the pitch to get, donors interested and things of that nature. And I think the like you said, Michael, like having those resources of like the importance of the broad sweeps of like this is what your money will do to make an impact, and then with the people who are working within the prisons every day and are really close to the people and know the people individually, that's when I think the stories and like the detail and the kind of the inspiration really makes an impact. So I think thinking about that with both hats on is really a great way to be working towards the overall marketing and elevator pitches and kind of tailoring it to different audiences and things.
nice. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, Morgan, what do you got?
I'm just absorbing. I'm quieter today. But getting all the feedback from different lenses and different perspectives is really helpful. And I think that's one of, the reasons we're doing these meetings is, we're building it as we go. We'll share like Michael says, he goes back in and refines things and this is part of that process. So I'm just, grateful for everyone's opinion and support. Because that's the biggest thing in marketing is, getting your message heard by your audience, and it's going to be heard a bit different by different audiences. So no, I'm just taking it all in and nursing my headache over here. You're doing great, Michael. But I mean, I'm just excited. Like for me, like I'm not as full time in this as Michael is yet, and I really really want to be, because there's just so much we can do. Like my head's designing pitch decks and visuals to go along with these concepts, and I'm just excited and chomping at the bit to share more and publish a book or 7. So it's ongoing and but it's really exciting, and at the root of it is we're the heroes of our own journeys. And so the fact that all of this that we're talking about can tie back to that and the trauma journey and everything is really good. And yeah, Megan, we're so grateful for you to be helping us with your expertise. And yeah, no, not much. Just, it's good to see Jason. Hi, Jason. It's your first meeting too, and Tara, it's great. So our little community is growing.
Yeah, Eartha had something too.
When you're teaching the curriculum, I just think that when you go inside the prison and you talk to inmates, you just got to be raw and uncut. You have to come with passion, and you got to know what you're talking about. You feel what I'm saying?
She was talking about a pitch to the CRMs though. Like, yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, with them too. I was trying to get my book in, but it's hard for me to deal with them. They don't email back. But I thought she was talking about, because I was talking to my boss at the same time and trying to listen in. But yeah, to approach inmates, I think that's what you have to do to get them to go into that rehabilitation, like how you were saying, that only a person can, if they want to be rehabilitated, that's the only way that it's going to make a change in them. And I really truly agree with that. Totally. That's all I wanted to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Eartha. Oh, and here's Tara.
I was going to say one more to your perfect pitch from the beginning for your high level, like introduction of like, I have this program, this is what it does. Because now that I'm hearing you say people are screaming about wanting trauma informed, all I would add to that is I have a trauma informed program that, you know
Ooh,
what I mean? And then that just covers that immediately. And then they're going to go, oh, then they'll ask all, and obviously you have all the things that you could tell them.
right.
But yeah, because that would add to that too. But your pitch is fantastic.
Thank you, Tara. Okay. I know we're coming up on the hour. Anyone have anything else? No? Yes? No? Questions, comments, burning desires? Don't we got dance? I'll do it every time.
You're doing awesome.
Well, thank you, Rana.
I just want to say one thing from my perspective is these are, timeless, ancient mystery school teachings that are not here to be sold. They're not here to be changed. They're not here to be, shoved into a box. They are what they are, and you're a guardian. So that's all I'm saying. Just keep that in mind, but you know that.
Thank you, Rana.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's kind of opening your eyes to a different kind of teaching. For me, it is.
Well, I think that is really the purpose of it. A lot of these things exist in different ways and different psychology, different fields, different religions. They exist in all these different ways. They're just a lot of times you don't see them. There's a reason they're mysteries, right? They're not just there if you don't seek them, if you don't look for them, if you don't try to find the point behind it, the underlying knowledge. So we've been taught to memorize things by rote, by going, we've been taught to think this is the way, this is the only way. They say this, they say that, but when we look back in history, all the times when ancient knowledge has been returned, people fight against it and say, this is what it is. This is how it's always been. This is what our religion says, our government says. But eventually, truth always prevails. No, there's Rana.
Uh, to add to that, when they come in, there's always going to be an attack against them because the truth is not welcomed in this world. And that's why there's secret societies, true, see, not, .com societies, but real secret societies that guard these teachings with their lives. And so they're meant to be kept in their purest form. Yeah. Just saying.
And eventually, every great truth in this world is ridiculed, and then it's fought against, then it's killed with silence, and then it's attacked, and then it's accepted.
And then it's changed too. I mean, look at Magdalene. Look what they did to her. She was Christ's main disciple, but they made her into a whore. And there's a lot of people that still believe that.
So we all are here to remember that we're the heroes of our own journeys. And thank you for being here. And we look forward to doing this again in the future. We have a couple minutes if anyone has something they need. I see you're jumping up.
I wanted to say something. I wanted to say something about what you had said. You had said the heroes always put people before them. Did you say something like that?
I absolutely did.
I did hear that. And then when you were saying that, I was thinking about myself. And I said, well, that is true. Because when you were saying that, because I like to analyze things. When people say certain things, it gives me that aha moment. And you gave me that aha moment right there. Because that like keep ringing in my head. The heroes put other people before them. And why is that? They
Because
don't think about themselves.
of course they do, but they decide that the whole is better than is more important than themselves, right?
Yeah.
Those who go out and sacrifice themselves to stop a war, to save the city, to keep their love from dying.
Mm.
That's what a hero does. Your life doesn't matter when it comes to those you love and the greater good.
All right. Okay, I love that. Okay. Because I have a problem with that, putting people before me to, and sometimes it bothers myself. And, but I see them happy. So I think I did the right thing.
So you absolutely did. So one of the things you have to remember though is there's a difference between a noble sacrifice
Mhm.
and people pleasing.
Oh,
Right?
mhm.
You don't just harm yourself to make other people happy. You don't betray yourself to make other people happy. You sacrifice when it's the
Yeah.
best thing to do. Those
Okay.
are two um, different concepts.
Okay. So now I'm gonna start paying attention to the difference. Okay. See, thank you.
Okay?
Yeah. Because sometimes, because you know they're saying if it don't feel good, you shouldn't be doing it. So, okay. Sometimes
Absolutely.
when I help people, it don't make me feel good. And it's not very all the time. It's just very rare that sometimes I'll sacrifice and I'll help them. And then something inside of me be like, dang, like I start feeling a certain kind of way. And I don't know why. Is that because I did it not with a gun to my head? I did it because I wanted to. And I felt that was the right thing to do. I don't regret it or anything after that. It's just that I just feel like, what should I have did? I kind of be questionable about it, you know?
Well, if you feel tainted after you do something, if you feel
It's
dirty,
okay.
then it
Mhm.
wasn't the right thing to do.
Okay. All
And
right.
and I just want to add, Eartha, because I can relate to this position a lot. And I would, always be doing things for others, but then I would be resentful and pissed off on the other end of it. And I learned about, my capacity, and I was abandoning my own needs that were not met for taking care of the needs of others. So right now, one of like the checks that I do in myself today is, does it feel good or does it feel like an obligation? And if you feel obligated to do something for someone, that might be your people pleaser part. Going, of course you have to, because we're trained as people pleasers that, to make everybody else happy except for ourselves. And then when you go against that thinking, it'll feel really uncomfortable because it's rooted in a belief system that we're not good enough unless we make sure everybody else is good. And so it's kind of really wonky in the head because it'll feel wrong, but it'll also feel right because you're going to take care of your needs and make sure your needs are taken care of before you can take care of others. Like the airplane mask, right? Put yours on before you help others. So that is a huge lesson. And I'm here to chat about that all day long if you wanted to, because I can
We'll have a meeting
relate.
on Thursday so you can do that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's
Okay.
that was kind of like the idea with the Thursdays, is we can really get more into these topics and these concepts and how they relate to our own personal experience. Bye, Megan. So because I mean, we're discovering this together, and then through, you know, releasing these trauma patterns and trauma responses, then we get back to being the hero of our own story, because I'm going to take care of myself. I can believe and trust that I'm going to take care of myself, because I had the exact same experience. I was helping and I'm like, I thought I was doing the right thing, but why am I so depressed and miserable right now? I should be lit up and excited and happy, but I wasn't.
Yeah. And when we get more into the archetypes, you'll see the wounded shade that makes you act this way, to want to do that, to feel like you have to please others. And, so remember, the hero does the right thing, not necessarily the thing that seems good at the time.
Can I just say one thing?
I
Mike,
understand
that
this.
was amazing. This just what you said in that like was so powerful that evokes like an entire hour of conversation. I just want to point this out to you because because I know everything's stirring in your head right now. So like the way that you took it from, where you took it from ancient civilization into modern day. It was beautiful. It just like that in like 2 sentences. I was like, wow, bam. You know what I mean? Because then it just lands perfectly for someone. I was amazed. So thank you.
Thank you, Tara.
And that's kind of the premise of the books, is to tell the stories. Like, I mean, Michael can speak more to this. I'm not writing the book, he is, but like there's those parallels, and then we make it relatable, but in storytelling, in choose your own adventure, in all these other ideas that he's weaving into curriculums and programs and books and whatnot. So it's just really exciting. And yeah, I love how it's coming together. We'll keep sharing.
Yeah, and in the long run, the wisdom exists on its own. I'm just here to share what I've learned and to help people learn it and to make it relatable.
That's the bomb, Michael.
Thank you, Eartha. Okay, that's all I got. And we'll do this again Thursday. We'll do it again next week.
I will
All
set my
right.
alarm for Thursday.
I'll have Morgan send you a text.
I will.
Okay.
I can do that. And Thursday we can deep dive into more discussion about this, and Michael will share more where it's at. And just thank you everyone for lending us your time and ear and support. And it's we're building it together, so it feels really good. And that was kind of where we started with Tuesday, Thursday. So Tuesday is kind of like presentation, like information, where we're at, present a topic, and then Thursday we can deep dive into it too. And I didn't know much about the stories of the ancients and the heroes, and now every time I read a new one, I'm like, oh, there it is. There's the journey. There's the archetype. There's this. So it's really fun, and I'm grateful to dive into all this with you. Okay, I'll send out those texts for Thursdays, guys.
Thank you.
Later, Eartha.
Hi guys. I missed y'all. I'll see y'all next week. No, I'll see y'all this Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
Okay. Cool. All right. Have a good day, you guys.
Later, Eartha.
Bye, Eartha.
Bye.